What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Life After Lockup Season 5, Episode 45, Without Trust, You Have Nothing. Let's get started with Bianca and Daniel. So Daniel has been out 3 days, y'all, only 3 days. And the reason why I keep stressing on how short a period he's been out from prison is because I feel like Bianca expects so much from him. And this man just got out of prison. He hasn't even been out a whole week, and she is expecting so much from him, and she is not understanding how it's going to take time for him to adjust to living on the outside, to adjust to being in a relationship, to adjust to her. So she's like almost kind of like cutting him no slack. But anyway, so Daniel comes in from, where was he? He had met up with his cousin, and his cousin Robert had told him everything that Bianca told him when they were at the bar the previous day. Basically, had Bianca complained about how she's not like satisfied intimately with Daniel. He talked about how he felt like Bianca had a drinking problem. He told Daniel, I think she may have a drinking problem. So all the information that his cousin gave him, Daniel now wants to go home and confront Bianca with all of this. So she's in the kitchen when he walks into the apartment. She's in the kitchen, and she is right next to, she's at the kitchen sink. So she's right there at the water faucet. And he asked her for a drink of water. And she tells him no, because that's what you did to me. So she's referencing back to how he refused to get up, walk across the kitchen to get her a cup of coffee the morning that he made breakfast, which was his second day out from prison. So she's still like harping on that, the fact that this man did not get up to get her a cup of coffee because she dictates her life according to TikTok. So if TikTok tells you that your man is garbage for not getting up and getting you a cup of coffee when you demand it at that particular time, then you need to get a divorce or break up, because that's what TikTok says. So she tells him, no, I'm not going to get you any water because that's what you did to me. It's like so petty, so immature. So he doesn't care. He gets the water himself. He's not tripping. So then she confronts him with all the stuff that his cousin had told him. And he says, Robert told me that you may have a drinking problem because you were drinking a lot when you were at the bar with them. And Bianca denies it. She goes, well, he was drunk too, so how would he know? And then he talks about how, well, you also told my cousin that I'm not satisfying you. And so, that was kind of weird to me that you would have that kind of conversation with my cousin. And then she says, well, I talked about it with you too. And he goes, I know, but why would you talk about it with my cousin as well? Like that's our business. That's private stuff. I'm not exactly sure how she responded to that, but at the end of it all, he said that he was going to try better. He was going to try to do better in the bedroom. So then they talk about her insecurity, and he talks about how, I remember when I was in prison, what did he say? She was very clingy to him, and she denied it. And he says, no, for real. Like when I was in prison, you always had to have me on FaceTime, no matter what. You wanted me always to be on video where you could see what I was doing, where I was going. And she did admit to that. And then she said, you know what? Anyways, I'm not going to go back and forth with this conversation that they had about her insecurities. The bottom line is, she said that she's basically trying to see where the relationship is going. And then the whole thing about him doing things for her, he was like, I'll do things for you. I don't have a problem doing things for you, but I want to do things for you because I want to do them for you, not because you're demanding that I do something for you at a specific time. Okay, let's move on from there. They go for a walk. So they're taking a walk, and Daniel has an episode. And it's just all overwhelming for him being outside because he just came out of prison 3 days. So he is walking pretty fast because I guess the anxiety is building up, and she's telling him to slow down, but he's walking faster. As he's walking faster, she's trying to hold on to his hand because she wanted to hold hands. And so that's not working. And then she's tugging at him, he's tugging at her. And then the whole thing falls apart. And she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? And he gets upset at her because she's raising her voice, and he claims that she was also using cuss words. So that made it seem like she was not understanding, she was not being supportive. So he gets upset and he completely walks off away from her. And so we find out that being outside in the open is triggering for Daniel. It is overwhelming for him because for 5 years he was stuck in a box. And so to be outside with the open sky and all of that is just way too much for him, and it triggers his PTSD. And so this was Bianca's first glimpse at exactly what she's dealing with when you are dating a man who's been institutionalized for a number of years. And she didn't know how bad it was until this particular moment. And so she was like, wow, I didn't know how serious it was, but now I see. So, like, what are you going to do about it, Bianca? Now that you know, now that you see, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to be a little bit more gentler with him? Are you going to be, more patient with him, more understanding with him? Or are you just going to demand that he just gets over it because it's ruining your vibe? And so she finds him and she talks to him. They talk it out. He explains to her exactly what the situation is. She acts like she understands. And she asked him for a hug. And he was like, okay. And he gave her a hug. They hugged, they kissed. They started walking back to the apartment together. And she was like, you know what? I'm just happy that, he's not mad at me. And I thought that was a little bit like self centered, that her only concern was, was he mad at her? Instead of putting herself to the side for a second and being more concerned with what he's dealing and what he's dealing, what he's going through. I don't even know if she asked him, well, what can we do to help you? What do you think we should do? Do you want to see a counselor? Um, do we need to limit our time outside and just do it little by? She was just like, I'm just mad he mad at me. Moving on to Zara and Troy. So right before I watched Life After Lockup, y'all, I was on TikTok, my second residence, and I came across a live of Troy's mother, and she was going off on Zara, completely unleashing all the frustration and anger on Zara. She was talking about how she what did she say? Oh my gosh, she said some really awful, disturbing things. Um, oh God, what did she say? She talked about how Zara doesn't have her son with her. She talked about she was like referencing to how Zaria was talking about her and how she doesn't have her children anymore. And she was like, I don't need to have my kids around me because my kids are grown. You're the one that still has a small child and he doesn't even live with you. And I mean, she was talking about Zaria, she was talking about her son, because I think she thought that Zaria had said something about one of her kids. Y'all, she was completely going off on Zaria. She said that the bumps that she had on her face wasn't acne. It was just a reaction from men releasing themselves on her face. Y'all, it was bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. There's a lot of hate between Zaria and Troy's mother. So anyway, we find out that her parents' house caught on fire. And luckily, everybody got out. Her parents were able to get out. Her son got out. Her brother got out. And she tells us that her son goes to visit his grandparents on the weekend. And that's why he was at the house when the house caught on fire, and that the grandparents now are displaced and they have to go stay at a hotel while they're waiting for temporary housing. And her son is staying at the hotel with the parents. And so that made me remember, about Zaria's mom, excuse me, Troy's mom going off on Zaria, talking about how she doesn't have her son with her, because I was like, okay, I understand you said that your son is with your parents on the weekend, but while your parents are displaced and staying at a hotel, why couldn't your son stay with you and Troy during that time? Like, I didn't understand. And I realized that watching the show, we hardly see Zaria's son unless her parents are there. So I'm like, you don't have custody of your son? And I've heard people say that she doesn't have custody of her son. I don't know if this is her only child, if she has other children. So I'm like, this is interesting. What's going on there? So Zaria says that her psychic had predicted this fire. And of course, it was something very vague that the psychic had said. And so Zaria is applying that to the fire. The psychic had said something like, your foundation is going to be disrupted or something like that. And so she sees her parents' home as her foundation, and it was disrupted by a fire. So she feels like if she was right about the fire, then she's probably right about me and Troy's relationship. And maybe, our relationship is doomed to fail because that's what the psychic predicted. So later on, we see Troy riding with her father. They're going somewhere. And Troy asks Zaria's father, how did the fire start? And the father says, I don't know, it was accidental electrical. So we know that there's tension now between Zaria and her mom because at that one dinner, that one Sunday dinner before the fire, when Zaria and Troy were over at her parents' house, Zaria had told her parents that she had been seeing a psychic, and her parents absolutely rebuked that. They did not agree with that, did not support that. And so her mom and Zaria, they're like kind of like not getting along right now because the mom doesn't think that Zaria should be seeing a psychic. So Zaria calls her mom, invites her over, and the mother agrees to come over, and they're talking about the wedding. And Zaria is basically asking her mom, will you help me and Troy pay for our wedding? And her mom was like, of course we'll help you pay for the wedding. And then Zaria says, I would like my father, my biological father, to walk me down the aisle. So we find out that Zaria was given up for adoption by her biological parents, and the people that we see on the show, those are her adoptive parents. And she had reunited with her biological father about a year ago. I guess they've developed a relationship, and she really wants her father to be a part of the wedding. Now, for her mom, as far as her biological mother, Zaria says that she's got nothing to do with her biological mother. The relationship is very strained. She found her biological mother when she was 18 years old, but her biological mother did not want to be found. Her biological mother, in fact, told Zaria, I gave you up for adoption. You're not supposed to find me. This was supposed to be a closed adoption. You were never supposed to find me. So she was not happy at all about Zaria finding her. So Zaria struggles a lot with being given up for adoption. She struggles a lot from being rejected by her biological mother when she did find her. So she's dealing with a lot, but she is very, very grateful that her adoptive parents did adopt her and that they raised her because she sees them as her real parents. So that was a very real moment. Everything else about Troy and Zaria to me is fake. Their arguments are fake. The way they talk on the show to me is very fake, very phony, and it's because there's nothing going on with Zaria and Troy really so far. They're doing fine. They're together. They're happy together. So they're just creating unnecessary drama. But I liked this part about her talking about her adoption because it was the realest thing that I've seen from Zaria since this show began. Let's talk about Kim and Joey. What is going on with Joey's voice? His voice has gotten so raspy within the last episode or two. Like I thought it was like when I first heard it, I thought he had a cold or trying to get over something, but it's still there. It's still extremely raspy, more raspy than it was in the beginning. What is going on with his voice? Anywho, him and Kim are going out to dinner, and they're having a date night, and she tells him that she is not divorced from her estranged her estranged husband. And not only is she not only is the divorce not final, she hasn't even filed. So this whole entire time she's been telling us that her divorce has not been finalized. But then when she was at dinner with Joey and she says to him, my divorce is not final, he mentioned something about, what do you mean you haven't even filed for divorce yet? Go to the courthouse and file for divorce. And she didn't argue against that. So it seems like she hasn't even filed. Forget about waiting for it to be finalized because you and your ex need to hash out some things, or y'all are not coming to an agreement on certain terms of the divorce, or the judge hasn't signed it yet. Forget that. You haven't even filed it yet, Kim. You haven't even filed for divorce, and here you are trying to hurry up and marry this man who just got out of prison. Like, what are you doing? So he's obviously very, very pissed off. And he tells her that she needs to talk to an attorney ASAP. He tells her, you're going to get this divorce filed right away. Like, there's no purpose in talking about us planning a wedding when you're not even ready to, you can't even legally marry anybody right now. Moving on to Melissa and Louie. Okay, so we see Louie training his clients. To me, this whole thing was a setup. Melissa and Louie, this they're also very fake. I don't think Melissa and Louie should have been on Life After Lockup because there's nothing going on here. I don't care, and I'm tired of Melissa and Louie's mom not getting along, them fighting over Louie. I'm tired of that. I don't really care about that. It's never gonna go away. Melissa and Louie are fine. They're just taking up space on this show. They show us this fake scene of Louis training his clients, and it's a whole bunch of like really attractive women, and he is behind them. Like for one particular client, he is standing behind her, like really close behind her, and he's helping her do the rope thing, where you shake the rope in both hands. And he's helping her, like, why do you have to stand behind her to do it? Was just very stagey, very set up, trying to make us think, oh my God, Louis training these attractive women, and maybe there's something going. No, there's nothing going on between Louis and these women. So while he's training this client, there's another woman there, and she's recording this. She's just sitting there, probably about, I don't know, 4 feet, 5 feet away from them or something, really close, and she has her phone out and she's recording Louis standing behind this woman, like his crotch is up against her butt, and he's helping her shake these ropes. And this woman is there with her phone recording it. Like, I thought she was with the woman. I thought this was the client's friend, and she was just recording her workout. But this woman evidently is friends with Melissa because she goes to Melissa's bar where Melissa's working, and she shows Melissa this video, and Melissa gets fake mad about this video. Oh my God, I can't believe he's doing that. I don't even know if I want to, because that particular day, Louis had planned to propose to Melissa. So he told her that, we're going to have a date night and you're going to meet me at a certain place and we're going to have dinner. So she tells the friend who showed her the video, I don't think I'm even going to go to I don't think I'm even going to meet up with him for date night if that's what he's doing at the gym. Totally, completely fake. So she meets up with Louis at the place where he wanted to propose to her. I think it was like at a lighthouse or some type of a tower. Anyway, they climb up, they get to the very top. They're standing on the balcony or whatever you want to call it, the railing. They're looking out over the beach, and he had written in the sand, "Will you marry me?" or "Marry me," or something like that. So this was the proposal. He gets on one knee. He asks her to marry him. She says yes because she saw the ring. The ring was to her approval. A big fat rock, big and fat for no reason. And she's happy about the ring. She is so happy about the ring that she's no longer mad about the client, about him grinding his crotch into the client's butt. That no longer bothers her. Yeah, because it was all fake. It was all staged up and fake. So now they're engaged. Key Rock and Brittany. So they're supposed to have their wedding, which they're calling an elopement, which I don't understand, because I thought an elopement was, instead of being married, like planning I thought an elopement was you like literally going somewhere far away to get married. Like if you live in one state, you decide to go to Vegas. You just take off, you and your partner take off, go to Vegas to get married. You don't invite anybody. It's just the two of y'all. Y'all elope. That's what I thought an elopement was. Like you ran away somewhere to get married. But they're getting married right there in their hometown. So, or wherever they're living at. So it's the time for the wedding, and it's going to be on this golf course by the lake. It's a very beautiful scene. And while they are in front of the officiant, but before they exchange their vows, Brittany tells Q Rock, I've got something to tell you. And she's having doubts about getting married, about the elopement, because this is not the wedding of her dreams. She wanted to have a wedding with friends and family being present, and this is not what she envisioned her wedding to be like. So I don't know if they're going to postpone the wedding so they can have a real. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm sorry. I like Brittany and K Rock, but I really don't care about their storyline. I don't care about half of these people's storylines, but it is what it is. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video, like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.